The servants' entrance is on the other side of the house. We must slip past this crowd to reach it. We will have to be very careful. Our Howe is inside. The estate is in poor repair. The new owl, he has not been very prompt in paying his workmen. I will be right behind you. I can distract the guards, but you must move quickly. More guards patrol every hour. If they find these two missing, they will know... how you say... something is amiss. I will lure them into the courtyard. Wait in the bushes. Oh, you must come! I saw something! By the fountain! I think it was a darkspawn.
Darkspawn?
They will drag us all underground to be eaten!
Should we call for help?
Did you fall off a cart full of stupid? Call for help? So they can see us act like scared little girls because of some knife-eared wench?
They will eat us all alive! Please, get help!
If there is something out there and we don't sound the alarm, we'll look worse than scared.
And drast these holy knickers. Fine, we'll check the courtyard, if it'll keep you from wetting yourself. But there's nothing there.
Thank you. Oh! It was over here! Quickly! Ah, it took me forever to be rid of those two. You must be careful now. The servants, they will not look closely at anyone in uniform. All guards are alike to a cook, no? But you should not draw attention to yourself. Most of the guards are new. They will not know you for a stranger at a glance. It is best to keep your distance from all of them and try to blend in. She is in the guest room off the main hall. Andras, they guide us. The Grey Warden is here, my lady.
Thank the Maker. I would greet you properly, but I'm afraid we've had a setback. Yes, about that. My host was not content with leaving me under heavy guard. He sealed the door by magic.
I did not know. There were only guards here when I left. We must get her out of there.
Don't panic, Erlina. Find the mage who cast the spell. He'll most likely be at Howe's side. Well, if he didn't know you were here, he soon will. Thank you, Warden. My prayers go with you.
Count Howe will probably be in his rooms. They're at the end of the hall, on the left.
What? Who goes there?
I thank you for creating such distraction, stranger. I have been waiting days for the opportunity. Do you think you could... Alistair? Is that you?
Who... Wait. I do know you. You were at my joining. He's one of us. A warden from Orlais. Jada, I think. Or was it Montserrat? I'm afraid I don't remember your name.
I'm Riordan, senior warden of Jada, but born and bred in However, and glad to be home. For the most part, attempting to hold my tongue. I was sent when we received no word from King Kaelin as to the outcome at Ostagar. The king had invited all the wardens of Orlais and their support troops to join him. Then nothing. We had 200 wardens and 24 divisions of cavalry. The first we heard of Loghain's edict was when everyone was turned back at the border. That was when the rumor reached us that wardens were being blamed for the massacre. We finally decided it was safest to send someone alone to learn how best to fight the Blight and this regime simultaneously. As a native Ferelden, I volunteered to make the crossing. The other wardens won't risk their strength fighting Ferelden's civil war. If they spend themselves against Loghain, there is truly no hope. They recall accounts of the first Blight, how many cities fell. If Ferelden is too foolish to save itself, at least, we'll be ready when the Archdemon leads its forces further. Besides, I hear you haven't been doing badly at raising an army yourself. But perhaps if the edict can be lifted, I will send a message as soon as we are gone from this place. With an offer of hospitality and a poisoned chalice. I was fool enough to think Loghain didn't yet know who I was. Yes, these are my records. The names of the dead I could recognize at Ostagar. What I could find of Duncan's own recruitment records. Copies of the joining ritual I rescued from our Denerim vault. Those should never be seen by any outside eyes, but I trust in their encryption. Would that I could, for Ferelden sorely needs them. But for the joining to work, the recruit needs not only fresh Darkspawn blood, but a drop of blood preserved from an archdemon. Ferelden's supply should have been in the vault, but it was gone. I can only imagine someone took it out and Loghain either confiscated or destroyed it. As you know, the joining's chance of success is slim anyway. Loghain has done far worse to the Wardens than cut us off from recruiting. And from the rumors flying through Denerim, removing him from the throne is already your plan, no? I saw him going to the dungeons. He may still be there. I wouldn't be much use to you in my current condition. And if you'll pardon me, I've a sudden desire to breathe some free air. I will seek you out later, after I find a good physician. And good luck, brother.
Who goes? Anybody tries to come in here without Howe's say-so, we get to do what we like with them. I think we finally got a bit of entertainment here, lads.
Was this supposed to be a lesson? Did my father think it funny to leave me for so long before sending you? Then my father didn't send you?
I am Oswin, son of Ban Sigurd, of the Dragon's Peak Banon.
If you aren't one of our soldiers, pray tell me, who should I be thanking for my rescue?
Then I have no question about why you would come, Warden. For it is your men who have suffered the most here. You have my heartfelt gratitude. And I assume the gratitude of the entire Dragon's Peak Banon. If my father sent no one after me, I can only assume that he does not yet know the true colors of the snakes he is allied with. But if you talk to him, I'm certain he would offer you any reward you might ask. I can tell you little, only how I came to be here. One soldier returning from Ostagar was my wet nurse's son. We have been friends since birth. He told me his unit was ordered to turn their backs on Kalen at Ostagar, before the Darkspawn overwhelmed him. The next day, he disappeared. When I went to search for him, I accepted a drink from a stranger and ended up here. Then there is a Landsmeet after all. Howe said the Isle of Redcliffe was dead, and the Landsmeet called off. I swear, if there be any forum to speak out against Loghain, my father will be there. Now, please, I must try to get to him. I cannot see the last of this place too soon.
They said to retreat. The horn sounded, and we turned, and then the screams. We rode, and they screamed, and screamed, and... Mother, can you smell the blood? They said it was only Darkspawn. But we ate them too. They died, and we left them. In the swamp. The witch... The witch!
He's obviously mad. I don't think you'll get anything more out of him.
Safe? Is there a safe? Perhaps next door?
What month is it? Are you some enemy of Aurelians? Please, I feel like I've spent half my life down here. The Arl's son, he abducted my bride on our wedding day. When I tried to rescue her, I don't remember. She was screaming and he was laughing and I charged at him. And woke up here. I don't know if she's even still alive. Dead. Then who's ruling? His son, Vaughn. He struck me down and I woke up here. People were so angry, they were thinking of petitioning the king. There have been many changes since they caught me. I need to find out what happened. I need to get home, or flee the city. I thank you for your aid, stranger. I wish I had more than gratitude to offer.
Who's there? Stay away. You can't do this to me. I'll have you all flayed. I'm the Arl of Denerim. I'm Vaughan Kendalls, heir to the Arling of Denerim. It's true. Too many of our troops were lost at Ostagar. When the riots started, Howe came with men to reinforce the garrison here. Or that's what he claimed. As soon as I let him into the palace, he threw me in here. One more victim of the Elven uprising, he said. Let me out of here. I'll do anything. In my room, there's a lockbox full of sovereigns. Free me, and the key is yours. What? Come back! When I get out of here, I'll find you, you bastard.
Andraste, Bride of the Maker, have mercy on me. Alstana, is that you, little sister? No, I don't know you, do I? Are you real? Where am I? I'm Erminric, Knight Lieutenant of the Denerim Chantry. You aren't one of the Tairn's men?
He sounds like he's in lyrium withdrawal. He's got all the signs, confusion, weepiness. He probably doesn't even know what he's saying. If the Grand Cleric knew he were in here, she'd be spitting hot coals. Nobles don't have authority over Templars.
I failed in my duties, Maker. Forgive me. I failed, and there's no telling what he's done. Alfstana is a far better man than I would have been, but I don't remember how I came to be here. The Malefica. He had turned blood magic upon Templars and Circle mages to escape from his tower. Near Redcliffe, I cornered him, but the Tairn's men took him from me and brought me here. Yes, he destroyed his phylactery. We were spread out, trying to find him. I was alone. You are real, aren't you? My dreams are so strange now. Please, if you're not a dream, help me. No one can free me from failure, save Blessed Andraste. Give this ring to my sister, Alfstana. Tell her I'm sorry. Please, ask her to pray for me.
Well, well. Bryce Cousland's little boy, all grown up, and still trying to fit into Daddy's armor. I thought Loghain made it clear that your pathetic family is gone and forgotten. Your parents died on their knees. Your brother's corpse rots in Ostagar, and his brat was burned on a scrap heap along with his Antivan whore of a wife. And what's left? A fool husk of a son, likely to end his days under a rock in the deep roads. Even the Wardens are gone. You're the last of nothing. This is pointless. You've lost. There it is, right there. That damned look in the eye that marked every Cousland success that held me back. It would appear that you have made something of yourself after all. Your father would be proud. I, on the other hand, want you dead more than ever. Make her spit on you. I deserved more.
My thanks. Funny. Very funny. We must go quickly and avoid notice. If Howe's people find me, I'll be killed. And my people will insist on escorting me back to the palace, where my father may also have me killed.
Warden, in the name of the Regent, I am placing you under arrest for the murder of Riordan Howe and his men-at-arms. Surrender, and you may be shown mercy. Don't be ridiculous. The Queen isn't being held prisoner here or anywhere else. Her father would never stand for such a thing.
What? Sir Catherine! Praise the Maker you're here. This brigand tried to kidnap me.
Unbelievable. Bring them down! Loghain wants the Warden, dead or alive!
Eamon, I may have done a terrible thing.
What's this?
She throws her savior to the wolves, and now she has second thoughts?
What in Andraste's name has happened? Are you all right?
The Wardens have been captured.
By Sir Calthrian, to whom our lady here handed us all on a platter.
What? How could this happen?
Never mind that. The question is how to free him.
Surely you mean them, Your Highness. We need Alistair too.
Yes, of course, I meant Alistair too. Calthrian will take him to Fort Draken. Getting inside will be no small feat.
Oh, you're awake. I was starting to worry. Do you mind if I pin her down while you do? Or perhaps kick her? I hope you have a plan.
If you're not bleeding, I don't care. Well, I could keep you company. Maker, they put a lot of buckles on this thing.
What's the password? Oh, that's just being silly.
Blighted green recruits. Nobody gets through without it.
What's this? Ah! You must be the new recruits we were expecting. You're late. The rest of your patrol is in the storage room. Find them and get yourselves ready for inspection.
Did you need something?
We've been ordered to get this room cleaned up.
So the Colonel can eat off the floor if he wants to. Cursed potatoes. Thank the Maker.
What are we going to do about him, though?
Is there some problem?
So the assistant quartermaster is a little miffed with us at present.
I told you we should have put those potatoes in the cellar straight away.
Some things went amiss. Mistakes were made. The quartermaster got chewed out by Tairn Loghain, and then he chewed out the assistant.
And now to get back at us for landing him in trouble, the assistant quartermaster won't give us our blades. And you can't pass inspection without a regulation sword.
It's probably better that the officers know as little about this as possible.
I told you those potatoes were going to go off.
But he doesn't have any beef with you. Maybe you could talk to him. He's down the hall in the armory.
Maker, help us.
What's this? You two blighted fools make a new friend? What, so that makes it better? I should just forget they cost me a promotion because they didn't mean it? Well, while we're at it, why don't we just forgive the Darkspawn for killing the king? I'm sure they didn't know it would upset us.
It's true, we could be eaten by Darkspawn, or cut down fighting insurgents.
Wait, what?
You got a point there. Regulation swords, right? Take these, just mind you take care of them, that's good steel.
So, you think you're ready to go on your first patrol mission, do you? That's what I like to hear. You there!
Yes, sir.
Stand up straight. You're a soldier in the King's army, and the King's own men don't slouch. And you?
Yes, sir.
Stop fidgeting. You can fidget on your own time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Kiss ours.
You there, Blondie.
Yes, sir.
What's the one thing a soldier can't do without?
What do I tell him? Honor, sir.
Better than I expected. Honor is the best thing a man can have. See to it that you keep yours at all times. I expect a lot of you back here by sunup. Now get out of here, and make her watch over you.
Password?
Rabbit, I think.
Going on your first patrol, are you? Good luck.
Maker's breath. It's good to see you in one piece, my friend.
Indeed. After your rather alarming lack of subtlety, I feared the worst for you. I prayed for your safe return. Well, what did you expect me to do? You announced me to my father's most trusted lackey. Did the purpose of my disguise entirely escape you? I barely managed to slip away from her when we reached the palace. I am hoping that, despite our unfortunate beginning, we can still work together. Will you hear me out? We will need to work together, and quickly. My father has gone mad. I didn't believe it at first, but he is gripped by a paranoia so severe it prevents him from seeing sense. He saw me as a threat, yet even now I'm certain he will be telling the nobles you are dangerous murderers that have kidnapped and mind-controlled me. He may even believe it. Perhaps it will be more difficult for him, but if my father says the Grey Wardens are the enemy, many will believe it. He is a legend.
It's true. Our position in the Landsmeet is not strong, and this does little to help us.
At least that snake Howe is dead. That alone will not be enough, however. My father is committed to his path. You will need ammunition for the Landsmeet, and there I can help. You have only just arrived in the city, so perhaps you are unaware of some recent events. Denerim has been in turmoil since Ostagar. Many people here are angry or grieving. Strangely, the unrest is worst in the alienage. Few elves accompanied the army. They should have little reason to be upset, which means that Howe and my father must have given them reason. I don't know what is happening there, but I am certain my father has his hands in it.
A useful lead, Honora, but you could have sent this information with your maid.
That is true. I feared for my safety as Howe's prisoner. But to tell the truth, I sent Elena to you because I hoped we might join forces. You need that evidence for the Landsmeet, but you also need a stronger candidate for the throne. You need me. I have no doubt Alistair is biddable enough, and decent, but even with his blood, he is no king. You think only I can see it? Not only that, Alistair is a Grey Warden. It will look like you are trying to put a Grey Warden on the throne, despite your claims. I am a neutral party, and I am already queen.
Honora, you are indeed Kaelin's widow, but...
I am the daughter of Ferelden's greatest general. Who do you think truly ruled this nation for the last 5 years? Kaelin. I am what this country needs, not an untrained king who does not even want the throne. I can help you stop my father. Consider what I have said. For now, I think I will retire to my room. Warden, when you have a moment, I ask that you speak to me in private.
Well, she's quite spirited. I remember when Loghain first brought her to Denerim. Poor Kaelin was a good boy, but Honora was always 2 steps ahead. Had him jumping when she snapped since the first time she batted her eyelashes. I cannot help thinking she may be trouble, but we should keep her close, all the same. This is an alliance of convenience. For the moment, we are united against Loghain. Be careful how much trust you place in her. I do not for a moment think Honora means to give up her power easily. Still, I would rather have her where we can watch her than actively working for Loghain. Honora was a capable administrator for Kaelin's lands, but she has not a drop of royal blood. We did not fight the Orlesians all those years just to lose our royal line in a single generation. Not when there's a surviving son of the blood.
Thanks. I'm right here, you know.
His mother was a maid, but his father was Merrick Therin, for whom we all risked our lives to win back the throne. I only wish Merrick had taken more time to instruct the lad in the politics of ruling. I did my best, but we all hoped Kaelin and Honora would secure the succession.
No, I don't, which I've told both of you on many occasions. If Honora's turned against Loghain, I say let her keep the crown. It looks better on her anyway.
You're both wrong. With a few months of experience, Alistair will make a fine king. He knows how to lead troops to defend his land. He knows how to stand and fight for justice. He knows how to show compassion to those less fortunate, and how to trust to the Maker's guidance to know right from wrong. And he knows who to turn to for aid, should that training fail him. He will be fine.
Are you serious? No, never mind. I don't even want to hear the rest of this. You two just keep talking about me. I'm going to stand over here with my fingers in my ears.
That would certainly solve a lot of problems, and put forth the strongest argument before the Landsmeet to remove Loghain from power. With Therin blood on the throne, and Honora's wisdom and popularity, Ferelden could present the most united front against the Blight. Unfortunately, the marriage would never happen, unless they both agreed to it. And I suspect that might take a lot of persuading to get past her pride and his humility. Ferelden was first united by Calenhad, the Silver Knight. For 400 years, his descendants have ruled Ferelden. That was the heritage we preserved from the Orlesians, and it is the heritage I will fight for as long as one of Calenhad's descendants still lives. Without that to unite us, we could scatter back to warring Terniers. We certainly have a great deal to plan. Maker knows what that man is capable of now. Of course, if I might make a suggestion, go speak with Honora. She will either be a powerful ally or a powerful enemy, and the sooner we know which she is, the better.
Hello again, friend. It looks as though you're no worse for wear after your stay in Fort Draken. We went through our joining together, more years ago than I like to remember. He was exactly the same back then, tough as stone and just as grizzled. I think he understood sooner than the rest of us how ugly a choice it is to let the few be sacrificed to protect the many. Always left himself a soft spot for his recruits, though. Only where he ever let himself down. When I'm well enough, I'm going to continue my journey toward Ostagar. Hopefully I'll be able to trace the heart of the Blight and where the Archdemon itself abides. If we want to defeat this Archdemon, we need to know where it is and how soon it might strike. Well, I'd be happy to tell you what I know, but it seems to me that you've picked the important parts up yourself. Be firm in your beliefs, protect people from their own ignorance, and be as loyal as you can to your brothers, even knowing you'll share their deaths. It's tough to say. Only the fortress in Weishaupt has every record. But there are certainly a few dozen or hundreds in every nation in Thedas. The Anderfells are home to over 1,000. It's almost like the Archdemon chose Ferelden deliberately, knowing how unguarded it is. Once only, and I'd rather not go again. It's far, lad. And very foreign. The Wardens there, they fight Darkspawn like you and me, but they're shaped by the winters there in the forest. They're a cold group and don't care like they should about the rest of the world. Their king is weak, and many Anders look to the Wardens to rule. I hate to say this, but some of them seem to want it that way. It was near 1,200 years ago, and no one knows for sure, except that it began with a group of Ander soldiers. Apparently, they defected from their king's army, vowing that fighting the Blight was more important, and traveled all the way to Tevinter themselves. They were the first ones to track down the Archdemon Dumat, and the ones to slay him, though none survived the battle. But they had picked up followers by then, and it was they who formally founded the Order, and were recognized by Thedas. Archdemons don't awaken on their own, you know. It takes the Darkspawn, tunneling and tunneling, searching for centuries to find one. And with no one to lead them, it must be sheer chance, or maybe instinct, which leads them. What's surprising isn't that it takes so long between Blights. What's surprising is that they succeed at all. But I imagine the old gods call to them, and it's that voice in the darkness which drives them through so many generations. The important thing to remember is, none of that matters. When you're facing Darkspawn, all you need to know is to stop them at all costs.
Hello again, Warden. It is good that you came to speak with me. I realize that my actions at Howe's estate may not have painted me in the best light. For that, I apologize and hope that we can start again. First, let me say that I knew your family. Eleanor, in particular, was dear to me, and what Howe did was unforgivable. How fitting he died at your hands. I will be blunt. I can see that your voice will be a strong one in days to come. It is to you that Eamon listens, and with good reason. My father must be stopped, but once that is done, Ferelden will need a ruler. I would welcome your support for my throne. That is exactly what I am proposing. When the time comes, you support my bid in the Landsmeet to remain on the throne. You will be seen as my father's enemy, yet you will be in support of his daughter. You will be seen as supporting the interests of Riordan, as opposed to solely those of the Grey Wardens. In return, I add my voice to yours. Do you see? Together we can do what alone we cannot. He is my father, as well as a great general, who has served his nation well until now. If there is a way for him to live, I would prefer it. I will always be my father's daughter, but even I know he must pay for his crimes. It will not make me glad, even so. Does that affect your decision? Can we yet come to an arrangement? Do you disagree? You are a fellow Grey Warden. What do you think of Alistair's potential to rule? Never mind his willingness. Alistair seems like a kind, well-meaning man, and biddable enough. These are admirable qualities, if not kingly ones. He also seems to be a fine Grey Warden, which is exactly why he should remain one and serve the kingdom by defeating the Darkspawn. Cailan knew of Alistair. It was Arl Eamon that kept Alistair out of the courts, as Merrick had desired. Oh, there are some who would follow Alistair out of respect for his Therin blood. The others would see this as Eamon grabbing for power. Who else do you think Alistair would turn to for help? Eventually, the nobility would return to the old days of constant warring with each other. Alistair's weakness would destroy everything Merrick built. I have ruled this nation on Cailan's behalf for many years. I am a great queen, and as beloved by my people as I love them. Riordan needs an effective ruler with experience to see it through the Blight and after. That is not Alistair. What say you then? Your support for mine in the Landsmeet? Ignoring that the man looks so much like Cailan, my recently dead husband, if you'll recall, my main fear is that he might govern like Cailan as well. But it is true that Alistair has Therin blood. To some, this is more important even than practical considerations. A union might be considered a compromise, but is this something Alistair even desires? Let me say this. If Alistair is willing to stand back and allow me to continue governing the nation, then I would be willing to have him as my king. It is my understanding that governing does not appeal to him anyhow. If that is so, this is a compromise I can live with. Do so. I will be interested to hear what he has to say.
So I'm guessing someone told Honora I was planning to steal her throne. She has a nasty glare. She wants to be queen. I get it. I don't trust her any more than her father, but I get it. They say that Honora is smart, determined. She's supposedly the one who's really ruled here, not Cailan. She's her father's daughter. Me? I say that's where the problem lies. People like her and her father always think they're the only ones who can fix things. So everyone should just stay out of their way. What do you think? When the Landsmeet comes, you might even have a say. Marry her. As in marriage, as in be her husband. You've spoken to her about this? You did, didn't you? I can't say I like the idea at all. Why should I even consider something like this? Compromise? Yes, I suppose the Landsmeet would like the sound of that. All right, you've convinced me. If it comes to that, I'll agree to marry her. Make her help us all. Go and tell her, if you think it's a good idea. Me? I think I need a drink. Or 10.
Well, have you spoken to my lucky betrothed yet? Or will we be reduced to passing notes? He has? I wasn't expecting that, to tell you the truth. To marry Cailan's brother. Well, I suppose stranger things have happened. If it will truly help matters... Is this it, then? I agree to marry Alistair, to retain my throne, and in exchange I give you my support. If not, then tell me now. Done. So, we have a deal, Warden. I trust you'll keep your end of the bargain. Now, I suppose, comes the task of dealing with my father. That will be no small feat, of course, but I am certain you already know this. I imagine you have much to do. Is there anything else you needed from me? Ask me whatever you like. Of course it does. Do you think me heartless? But how much worse would I be to calmly stay at the side of a man who murdered my husband? It seems a strange word to describe a marriage our parents arranged when he was newly born and I still in swaddling clothes, but yes, I loved him. He was reckless, impetuous, and charming. Had he not been king, he would have made a dashing rogue for a band of players. We were a good pairing. He would not have wanted the burden of ruling any more than I would have liked remaining the silent wife in my husband's shadow. Calen was so idealistic. The world was his storybook, and he was the hero. My father is different. He's an idealist too, but he knows what idealism costs. They often clashed, but never seriously, never for long. Calen would always come round to Father's way of thinking eventually. And then the Blight came. Calen dreamed of uniting all the nations of Thedas against the Darkspawn. It was a dream. He wouldn't surrender. What my father saw, however, was the boy he had swaddled inviting Orlesian troops back into the land he had fought to free of them. And for once, my poor, foolish husband wouldn't back down. They would not believe it, most of them, even from my lips. Loghain is a hero they've looked up to their whole lives. Far easier to believe you or me a liar than him a murderer and tyrant. That's why it will be critical to find some way to discredit him before the Landsmeet. We must have proof of my father's crimes for the bands, or they will never believe us. It was more than just my own loss, but I thank you all the same. Ask me whatever you like. Do you want me to try my luck at fortune-telling? There was an old woman who read palms in the village of Warden when I was a child. She told me that I would have 10 children and be bald as a winter heath when I grew up. I can't say I put much faith in foretelling. What will happen depends much on you, Warden. But you certainly knew that already. Well, he was once a farmer when he was a boy, if you can believe it. I never could myself. He's useless with plants, for one thing. I remember my mother once asking his help with a sick rose vine. My mother oversaw the rose gardens personally. He touched it. No more than that. And it shed half its leaves like a dog with mange. She never asked for him to help with her roses again. He bought her another one, though. He carried it back from DanaDuchy with the branches overflowing his saddlebag. Despite the thorns tearing him bloody, he wouldn't let anyone else take it. He wanted to be the one to present it to her. My father has his faults, Warden, but he is far from common. Because he believes he is right, Warden. He thinks he is the only one who can see Ferelden out of its current crisis, even if it is one he helped engineer. My father is capable of remarkable blindness, but it stems from his love of Ferelden. That is the saddest part of all, I think. I hope not, but I fear it is so, yes. Trust would perhaps be putting it too strongly. My father knew what Howe was, and while I despised the man, I knew that father relied on his political mind. I expect my father thought himself above being influenced by the snake. Truly, I wonder how many of these acts stemmed from Howe and not my father at all. We may never know. I'm not sure. I had no inkling of my father's plans until Calen was already dead. I would like to think that my father planned for the worst, but did not truly decide that Calen was a lost cause until that moment in Ostagar. The alternative is difficult to imagine. Then I wish you luck, Warden.
Do you remember our discussion? I just wanted to tell you that I thought about what you told me, and you were right. Despite what Marjolaine says, I am not like her. I know that now. I've found peace in knowing the Maker, and nothing will change that. I've followed you to make the world a better place, and as long as I keep that in mind, I will not fall. Sometimes it takes another to show us the truths we hide from ourselves. I'm glad I left Lothering in your company. You have proven a true friend, and I thank the Maker for you.
Your wish? Whatever you'd like to ask. I wouldn't have spoken about it before, but you have been a good friend. There is no reason for me not to speak of it now. There is a reason I accepted this mission in Ferelden, far away from home, and it had nothing to do with any thought that I might leave the Crows. Meeting you, after all, was quite an accident. My last mission before this one did not end well. You must realize that until that day I was cocky and arrogant. I was the best crow in Antiva, I believed, and I bragged of my conquests often, both as an assassin and lover. Indeed, I was often told I was insufferable, right before I ended up in bed with someone. Such is how it was. One of the Crow Masters grew tired of my boasting. My bid for an incredibly difficult mark was accepted, much to my surprise. A wealthy merchant with many guards and completely silent. Taliesin agreed to be part of my team, as well as an elven lass named Rina. She was a marvel. Tough, smooth, wicked. Eyes that gleamed like justice. Everything I thought I desired. Rina was special. I had closed off my heart, I thought. But she touched something within me. It frightened me. When Taliesin revealed to me that Rina had accepted a bribe from the merchant, told him of our plan, I readily agreed that she needed to pay the price and allowed Taliesin to kill her. Rina begged me not to. On her knees, with tears in her eyes, she told me that she loved me and had not betrayed us. I laughed in her face and said that even if it were true, I didn't care. Taliesin cut her throat, and I watched her bleed as she stared up at me. I spat on her for betraying the Crows. When Taliesin and I finally assassinated the merchant, we found the true source of his information. Rina had not betrayed us, after all. I wanted to tell the Crows what we had done, our mistake. Taliesin convinced me not to. He said it would be a foolish waste. So we reported that Rina had died in the attempt. We needn't have bothered. The Crows knew what we had done. The master who disliked me told me so to my face. He said the Crows knew, and they didn't care. And one day, my turn would come. To rub it in my face, perhaps. That I was nothing. That she was nothing. You once asked why I wanted to leave the Crows. In truth, what I wanted was to die. What better way than to throw myself at one of the fabled Grey Wardens? And then, this happened, and here I am. It feels good to speak of it to someone. I swore I never would. Whatever it is I sought by leaving Antiva, I think I have found it. I owe you a great deal. Let us return to your mission, shall we? Suddenly, I do not feel like standing about.
Ask away. Of course. Never what? Had a good pair of shoes? I'm not sure I do. Have I never seen a basilisk? Ate jellied ham? Have I never licked a lamppost in winter? Make fun of my comrade in arms? Perish the thought. Well, you tell me. Have you ever licked a lamppost in winter? Just the once? And you didn't lose half of your tongue in the process. I'm impressed. I, myself, never had the pleasure. Not that I haven't thought about it, of course. But, you know. Well, living in the Chantry it's not exactly a life for rambunctious boys. They raised me to be a gentleman. That's not so bad, is it? I've no urge to rush into anything. We may not even survive what is to come, after all. Enough. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's go.
Something I can help with? Yes? What's on your mind? Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think. Which one? Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved, and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker. Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own. She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hysarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter. I have thought on this too. Did he withdraw his sight from her at that moment? Where were all the powers he bestowed upon her? This question has come to me many times, and I have no answer. Perhaps there was no way for Andraste to return to the Maker but through her death. We will never know for sure. I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in a land of their own. The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.
You sod. Tell that thing to give it back. I knew it. You're in cahoots. That dog, mangy mongrel. Sodding thing took my pants. But I'll show him. Yeah, I don't need my pants anyway. But the dog doesn't know that, and it will be his sodding downfall. You hear that, Nug Humper? I'm coming for you. Prepare to die.
I am listening. It doesn't have better things to do. That is true. I do not. I'm not interested in getting into a discussion on the subject, however. Ask another time. If it is done asking overly obvious questions, let us find some humans to throw off a cliff, or something.
In the name of Andraste, Bride of the Maker, be welcome in this house. While the cathedral is closed, if you need to make wedding or funeral arrangements, you'll have to talk to Sister Olma.
Did someone die? I remember a funeral.
King Kalen died, remember? Along with most of the army at Ostagar? Maker guide them all.
That which you fear, living in the shadow of death alone, I have seen it is only a cloud passing before the sun.
The death toll at Ostagar was staggering. We've had a funeral every day for a lost son or daughter of Denerim, and we've many more yet to hold.
Are they singing the chant now? It's a funeral, isn't it?
He should have retired to Val Royeaux years ago, but he wanted to stay and serve the remainder of his days in his homeland. It's the lyrium that does this. he wouldn't be a Templar anymore.
Blessed are they who stand before the corrupt and the wicked and do not falter.
He doesn't forget who he is, even if he can't remember anything else.
Of those fallen in the Maker's service, let me sing, Lady of Sorrows. Carry their names to the ear of the Most High.
Of course we did. Are you kin of his? He fell in service to the Maker against Maleficarum. There was never a better soul. Perhaps I am not the best person to speak to. There are priests inside better qualified to counsel you about your loss. May the light of the Maker guide your steps.
Whoever you are, Wait. I know you. Poor Oswin obviously didn't recognize you. He described you in great detail, but never mentioned you were a Cousland. I owe you his life. When I saw my poor boy's legs, I only wish Howe still lived that I might tear him apart myself. I would bring troops against his son. But Oswin tells me Thomas had no part in his father's depravity. Is there anything you would ask as a reward for saving Oswin? Thank you again. Know that I will stand behind you at the Landsmeet with all the support I can muster. In fact, I'm taking my supper today with Ban Reginalda of the White River Banorn. I'll speak with her about this at once.
May I help you? This is Ermenric's. Explain yourself. My brother would no more part with this ring than with his head. He's alive, then? Please, if you have any news of my brother, I would hear it. A dungeon? What? No. I will go to him at once. Someone will answer for this. You're Bryce Cousland's youngest, are you not? I thought I recognized you. Take this. It's been in my family for generations. Let it be a sign of the friendship between High Ever and Waking Sea. Let me know if you want some of my bowmen when you take back your Tairneer as well.
Wonderful. Another one. I suppose you're here to ask for a donation too. You're the youngest Cousland, aren't you? Probably looking for coin or men to take your Tairneer back then. You're better off asking the Darkspawn. They hold West Hills now. Well, I can see how you might miss it. All of southern Ferelden covered by black clouds, the ground rotting beneath your feet, plagues and Darkspawn raids going on until even the crows get sick of the smell of carrion. What's a little trifle like that when compared to the important troubles here in Denerim? There's no point talking about it. Leave me. I've nothing for you anyway.
We're closed. Oh, it's you.
The Drake scale armor is done. And it's, well, decent. Few things I'm rather proud of. And it didn't take as long as I feared. Odd.
You'd better be very proud, Wade. We can't afford any more flights of fancy.
I feel good, actually. I wouldn't mind working on Lord such-and-such's armor today.
We'll see how long this lasts. Here's your armor. Now please leave.